Hey y'all, welcome back. Today, we're checking out why Wetherspoons became the last affordable pub in Britain. Did it?
The average pint of lager in London now costs £6.92.
Okay.
In some parts of the city, it costs £8.80.
Okay. Y'all, I gotta do the conversion rate. $6.92, $9.20, $11.70. Shoo. Yeah. You know, that's about the same in Los Angeles. Probably not the rest of America, but I like Guinness. And at my local pub is $12 for a Guinness, which is about £8.80. Damn.
Analysts at
Oh, also, this is a new channel for me. It's called Behind British Brands. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna subscribe, and I could not figure out a way to get in touch with them. So if you are them and you don't want me to post this reaction, just let me know. I'll take it down. No big deal.
it costs £8.80. Analysts at The Telegraph have modelled the trajectory and concluded that a £10 pint in London is not a distant hypothetical. It is an expected reality by 2036, with the
Okay, let me look at that. Total cost £10. Profit for a pint, 25 pence. Wow. Damn. Wages $2.27. Cost of beer $2.26. Other $1.69. I wonder what that is. Ad valorem tax £1.68. Alcohol duty 88 pence. Employment tax 40 pence. Business rates 33 pence. Utilities 28 pence. Corporation tax. Damn. So the pub's only making £25. I mean, in this scenario, 25 pence. Dang.
It is an expected reality by 2036, with the rest of the country following by 2047. Meanwhile, Britain is losing pubs at a rate of roughly 2 every single day. More than 16,000 pubs have closed since the year 2000. The total number of pubs in England and Wales has fallen below 39,000 for the first time ever recorded. And somewhere in the middle of all of this, in a converted cinema or a former bank or a repurposed post office in your nearest town centre, there is a Wetherspoons serving a pint for somewhere between £2 and £3.
How do they do that? Oh, y'all, I have heard that Wetherspoons buys old buildings and then converts them into a pub, which I think is kind of cool. But I bet they're able to have such low prices because they buy in bulk. That's my prediction, you know? I don't know if this is a good thing, though. That's kind of what Walmart started doing, and it put a lot of mom and pop businesses out of business. Wetherspoons is probably doing that with a lot of locally owned pubs, right? They're outpricing them. These local pubs can't buy in bulk, so they have to have higher prices for a pint, right? Is that what's happening?
This is the story of how that gap happened, why it keeps getting wider, and what it actually means for the country that it did. To understand why Wetherspoons ended up where it is, you have to understand what has been happening to the cost of running a pub in Britain, because the closure crisis is not, as it might appear, about people drinking less. The British Beer and Pub Association is explicit on this point.
Okay.
Pubs are not closing because customers stopped coming. They are closing because their costs have outrun their ability to charge enough to cover them.
Okay. Interesting. I have heard that people are drinking less in general, but I've also heard from people in the comments telling me that when smoking was no longer allowed in the pubs, that changed everything, and that was the beginning of the decline. That's what I've heard from you guys.
A typical drinks-led pub in Britain today keeps just 3 pence from every pound spent by customers. Nearly half of that pound goes on wholesale food and drink. The rest goes on staffing, energy, business rates, and a tax structure that has been quietly strangling the industry for decades.
Yo,
That tax structure
this makes me want to drink. I don't think I've had a beer in months. What was the last one I had? It may have been when I filmed my snakebite video. I don't really drink much at all, but I'm open to it. This makes me want some.
rest goes on staffing, energy, business rates, and a tax structure that has been quietly strangling the industry for decades. That tax structure is worth examining closely because it sits at the heart of everything, and it is something Wetherspoons chairman Tim Martin has been arguing about publicly for years. Pubs pay 20% VAT on food sales. Supermarkets pay 0. Pubs pay around 20 pence per pint in...
Right, sorry to stop it again, but I've also heard that. So the grocery stores are able to charge lower prices on alcohol and not make a profit on it because they feel like you'll come in for the alcohol, but then you'll buy a sandwich or something else at the grocery store that they do make money on. And then people just don't go to the pub because they can get a six-pack for the price of a pint at the pub, right?
business rates. Supermarkets, operating from large out-of-town sites, pay far less per unit sold. This means that every time a supermarket sells a case of beer at a subsidized price to take home, and every time a pub sells the same beer at a price that has to cover its full tax burden, the supermarket wins on price by a structural advantage that has nothing to do with efficiency or quality.
Right. I just want to back up and look at the price on it. Okay. Yeah, look at that. £8.50. Is that a 4-pack or a 6-pack? I can't really tell. Oh, Carling, $5.10. I can't see what that's. It looks like 15 pounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably a 12-pack or an 18-pack. Desperados, £6.50 for a 6-pack. Yeah, so you can get a 6-pack for the price of one at a pub.
The supermarket wins on price by a structural advantage that has nothing to do with efficiency or quality. It is built into the tax system, and it has been built in for long enough that it has fundamentally reshaped how and where Britain drinks.
Okay, so
Wetherspoons
he's saying it's the taxes and not that the grocery stores are selling them at a loss.
generated £410 million in taxes in just the 6 months to January 2025. Over the lifetime of the company, it has contributed £6.6 billion in tax revenue.
Wow.
Martin's argument, made repeatedly in annual reports and shareholder letters and public interviews, is that the company generating that tax revenue is being penalised by the same system it is funding, while the supermarkets selling discounted alcohol from out-of-town sheds pay a fraction of the equivalent burden. Most independent pubs don't have the scale to absorb that structural disadvantage. Wetherspoons does. And this is the first part of the answer to how Wetherspoons became what it is. The price gap between a Wetherspoons pint and a pint at an independent pub is not primarily the result of Wetherspoons doing something clever. It is the result of Wetherspoons being large enough to negotiate better supply deals, spread fixed costs across nearly 800 locations, and operate on margins that would destroy a smaller business.
Okay, so they're also so big that they're able to negotiate a price. Interesting. They probably, for some of these beer manufactured breweries, I guess they're called, Wetherspoons might be their biggest customer, right?
When you buy a pint at a Wetherspoons, you are in part benefiting from the purchasing power of a company that is one of the largest buyers of beer in the United Kingdom. The same pint at the independent pub down the road costs more because that pub cannot access the same supply terms, cannot spread its rent and rates across hundreds of sites, and cannot afford to absorb the same cost pressures at the same margins. The independent pub sector has been losing that battle for over 20 years. Since 2000, Britain has lost more than 16,000 pubs. In 2024 alone, 412 pubs closed in England and Wales, pushing the total below that 39,000 threshold for the first time. The closures accelerated in 2025, with the British Beer and Pub Association recording 336 further closures, and in the first quarter of 2026 alone, 161 pubs closed, a rate of roughly 2 every single day.
2 a day. 2 pubs are closing every day in 2026. 161 pubs closed in the first quarter of 2026, a 26% increase on the same period in 2025. 26% increase. 336 pubs closed across the UK in 2025, 412 in England and Wales in 2024. Oh, so more in 2024 than in 2025. More than 2,000 pubs have closed since 2020. That's a lot. See, dang. I think pubs are great for the community. That's a tough call, you know? I feel like the government could maybe lower taxes or do something for the pubs, but at the same time, I don't know. That would have a domino effect on other things, wouldn't it? Scotland suffered the heaviest losses in quarter 1 of 2026 with 41 closures. Wales was the only region to gain pubs. Oh, adding 3. Okay. Wow. Quarter 1 2026 closures are estimated to have cost around 2,400 jobs. That's another thing, the jobs.
The causes are consistent across almost every closure. Rising employer national insurance contributions following the October 2024 budget added an estimated £650 million in costs across the sector. Business rates relief was cut from 75% to 40% in 2025. Energy costs have risen sharply. Minimum wage increases have added further pressure. The BBPA chief executive, Emma McClarkin, put it plainly: the love affair with the pub endures, but despite good trade, many publicans' profits are wiped out by a disproportionate tax burden and huge costs which force many to close. Every pub that closes removes an option. Every time a local independent shuts, the nearest Wetherspoons becomes a little more necessary. This is not a conspiracy or a deliberate strategy. It is the arithmetic of a market where one player has the scale to survive conditions that are killing its competition.
Yeah.
The result, playing out across British towns and cities in real time, is a pub landscape that is becoming less diverse, less local, and more dependent on a single chain to provide the one thing the remaining alternatives increasingly cannot:
Walmart.
a pint that most people can actually afford. The affordability point cannot be overstated, and the comment sections of videos about Wetherspoons make it clearer than any industry report. The people who drink at Wetherspoons are not primarily there because they love the atmosphere or because the food is exceptional. They are there because the alternative is not drinking out at all. The comment that appears in some variation on almost every discussion of Wetherspoons online is the same: I wouldn't be able to afford to go out if not for Wetherspoon. In my local spoons, there are regulars who in their outside life are often very lonely and not very well off. But Spoons allows them to come in, socialise, and get something cheap to eat and drink. Spoons is the only pub I can afford to drink at these days. These are not people describing a preference, they are describing a dependency. Wetherspoons has become, for a significant portion of the British public, the last place where going out for a drink is a financially viable option. That function matters more than it might appear in a purely commercial analysis. The pub in British life has always been more than a place to buy drinks. It is one of the few genuinely public spaces where people from different backgrounds and income levels mix without necessarily spending very much.
Right.
You can sit alone for an hour with a single drink and not be made to feel that you should leave. You can meet people. You can be somewhere that is not your home or your workplace without paying the price of a restaurant. The British pub, at its best, is what urban planners call a third place. Somewhere that is neither home nor work,
Right.
where social life happens without formal arrangement.
Yeah, the British pub. It's such a shame that they're closing they offer such a great social place for the community. They strengthen bonds between neighbors. You bring your whole family, the kids come. I think that's something the world is lacking, you know? I know they just recently, is it recently? I don't know. Passed a law where kids 16 and under or under 16 can't have social media. I recently reacted to a Jimmy Carr video where he mentioned that something that kids aren't getting these days is that human contact. And this is another way that it's going away. The pubs are closing. I guess it's good that Wetherspoons is still there. I know some people absolutely hate it. I know the guy who owns it is controversial. I don't know enough about that to comment, but at least it's still hanging on. I feel like we're inching closer and closer to that movie Idiocracy, if you've ever seen it, where there's basically one big store, it's Walmart, and you get everything at Walmart. Everybody gets dumber. I feel like the only thing that's going to be left is Wetherspoons.
As independent pubs close and the surviving alternatives charge prices that exclude a growing portion of the population, Wetherspoons is increasingly the only version of that third place that is financially accessible to the people who need it most. None of this means Wetherspoons is immune to the same pressures killing the rest of the industry. It is not. The company's half-year results for the period to January 2025 showed pre-tax profits falling 31.9% to £22.4 million.
That's a lot. Wetherspoons revealed its pre-tax profits fell sharply, dropping 31.9% to £22.4 million in the 26 weeks to 25th of January. The pub chain said the decline was driven largely by higher wage costs alongside £10 million spent on repairs and £9 million in business rates. Dang, they're feeling it too. What could pubs do? I don't even know. Energy costs being lowered would be a big thing, right? Maybe when the wars are over, it'll go down, but that's a whole other thing. Lowering the taxes might help, but that's a whole, then, I don't know. Could they start selling other things? I don't know.
Driven by higher wage costs, £10 million in repair bills, and £9 million in business rates. Martin has been direct about what comes next, warning that rising national insurance contributions alone will add £60 million a year to the company's costs, equivalent to roughly £1,500 per pub per week. The operating margin fell from 6.83% to 6.3% in the same period. Even at Wetherspoons' scale, the cost environment is punishing. The company has reduced its pub count from a peak of 951 in 2015 to around 796 today.
Oh.
It is not expanding aggressively. It is managing a careful contraction while trying to hold the line on the thing that defines its entire customer proposition.
So they're closing too. Wow.
The price. The question of whether it can keep holding that line is genuinely uncertain. Martin has said clearly that cost increases will undoubtedly add to underlying inflation, and that the company will endeavour to keep price increases to a minimum. That phrase, endeavour to keep price increases to a minimum, is doing a lot of work. The combination of national insurance increases, wage rises, energy costs, and a tax system that continues to penalise pubs relative to supermarkets creates a cost trajectory that no amount of scale advantage can indefinitely absorb.
Okay, interesting. The grocery store aspect. I mean, the government could start charging the grocery stores more for alcohol taxes, but then that doesn't help people. That just makes the prices go up, right? I don't know, yeah.
Every time a Wetherspoons pint gets more expensive, the gap between Wetherspoons and what came before it closes a little further. And every time that gap closes, the argument for its social function weakens. What the Wetherspoons story ultimately tells you is not really about Tim Martin's politics or the quality of the carpet. It is about what happens to a country's social infrastructure when the economics of providing affordable public space become impossible for most operators to sustain. The independent pub that charged fair prices and knew your name closed because the tax burden made it unviable. The chain that replaced it survives because its scale gives it options the independent never had. And the people who can no longer afford to drink anywhere else fill the booths and order from the app, and are quietly grateful that something, at least, is still within reach.
Yo, I mean, what could, not just Wetherspoons, but what else could pubs sell? Tea? But you could get that at home for so cheap. Like, they probably already sell tea, right? I don't know. I'm sure someone would have thought about it by now if something could be done, right?
That is not a tribute to Wetherspoons. It is a description of a problem that Wetherspoons happens to be filling, for now, because nothing else stepped in to fill it first.
That looks so good.
Do you think Wetherspoons is genuinely providing something the rest of the pub industry no longer can? Or is the idea that it's a social lifeline giving too much credit to what is ultimately a commercial chain trying to turn a profit?
I'm sorry, is that someone pouring a bottle of beer into a glass with ice in it? Ice?
Leave a comment below. And if
No, that's not. What is that?
Commercial chain trying to turn a profit. Leave a comment below. And if this
that was
breakdown changed how you think about your local spoons, subscribe for more deep dives into the brands hiding in plain sight on the British High Street.
Well, yeah. Y'all be sure to go to Behind British Brands and like and subscribe. I've done some videos, or I've reacted to some videos about British pubs before, and I know they're closing, but I wanted to get an update. I wanted to check in on the issue, and it doesn't sound like things are going any better. Although it did say that more pubs closed in the first quarter of 2025 than closed in the first quarter of 2026. So maybe it's slowing down some? I wonder if this is going to get to the point where the government does anything. Because I think birth rates are dropping. In America, I know they are. People are not coupling up and doing it as often. Birth rates are dropping. That's not good. People need to get sloshed and make some bad decisions, which actually turn out to be good decisions. Is this in Liverpool? This building looks like one of those buildings in Liverpool. The Liver Building? Is that what it's called? At first, I was against Wetherspoons because I like the Walmartization of it all. But now I kind of empathize with them. They're going through the same kind of stuff all the pubs are going through. And they are providing less expensive pints. I don't know. It's such a complicated thing. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me. And I'll see y'all next time. Later.